Hey everyone, sycra yasin here, and I'm sorry if you were expecting a Pointy Chins episode, but I'm gonna do one next week. But for today, I'm doing a review on Mischief, and it's kind of because of my last Pointy Chins episode where I used the program Mischief, but I was using an older version, and I was told that, I should try the newer version because they changed the interface, and yeah, it looks, I guess, more streamlined and cool, I suppose. I don't really care about interfaces that much, but what I do care about is that when I first, because I've done a review on the program, and the biggest issue was the price point before, and I thought it's too much for artists, and they changed that. They made it $25, which I think is reasonable for artists. So yeah. So what else do I like about the program? Well, I like that they have this paper. You can change the background to a bunch of different kind of paper textures. And if you've seen my Photoshop drawings, I use a paper texture, and the reason is that it just feels a bit more traditional to me, and looking at a stark white canvas can be a little bit difficult. And then what I like about this is that it is a good figure drawing program, because let's say you have your figure drawings, like whatever you're using, a figure drawing tool, then you can do your drawing and then just like do another one and just keep panning and draw more and more, and the canvas just goes on forever. So if you're one of those people that, you start drawing and then you run out of space, you never really have to worry about that, and you can zoom out and in forever. Like, it's just infinite zoom. So that's cool. That's what I really like about the program. There's a few different brushes. There's not a lot, but there's 6. And so the one I like the most is this one, which I said, the pencil. And then they have this type, and then they have this soft brush, and like a calligraphy brush, and this brush, and this brush. And for all the brushes, you can change the size and the opacity down here. But I don't like it much as a painting tool, so I tend to focus on this drawing brush because I prefer it as a drawing program. And they also have a few different erasers. This one, and this one, and this, and this. And then they also have some other tools to the side here, and you can rotate canvas. But I think you could do that in the other version of Mischief too. So I don't know. I don't think that's anything in the new version. So rather than just showing you this stuff like this, I thought it would be better if I just do a drawing in Mischief, and that might get you give you an idea of what it's like using the program, and maybe if you'd like to use it too, if you think it would work for you. So I'm just going to be drawing a character, and I started out with an S-curve to get the basic gesture, because really I don't know what I'm going to be drawing, but I found when I start with an S-curve, I always get a decent gesture, even if the rest is kind of off, and I'm just exploring. And I think it's a pretty good example of what the pencil tool is like. It works very well for me because I like to sketch, and it's got a good range in the pressure. I don't know, there's some tools I don't like in Mischief, but one of the ones I really do like is the pencil tool. And I don't know if there's a program that I prefer. Krita, I remember, had a very nice brush. But anyway, so I'm really happy with the way Mischief's pencil reacts. And something else I like about Mischief is you start on a transparent layer, as opposed to some programs where you start on a blank layer. Like with Photoshop, the default is to start on a white canvas, but you can change that as well to a transparent canvas. And I don't know, maybe I should talk more about the character. I don't know what I was doing, but I had this idea of sort of a mechanic person, and I was gonna have her holding like a wrench, but I changed my mind about that, and now I'm creating a new layer. And this is one thing I don't like about Mischief, is that I cannot make a new layer and then lower the opacity of that layer, or if I can, I couldn't find a way to do that. And so what I had to do is make a new layer and then select the background color and just paint over the entire sketch with the background color. Now that's fine, except if I was using a paper, in which case I suppose I would just take a light eraser and erase the sketch to knock it down. But if the people who are making Mischief do see this, I would appreciate transparency options for layers, because that would be good. I wouldn't have had to do this. And it was good because I found when I zoomed in, I'm using the same brush, but just by virtue of zooming in and drawing lighter, the lines are a lot cleaner looking and they look nice, whereas in some programs you tend to have to shrink the brush to do that. Like, I didn't have to shrink the brush at all. Or you have to switch brushes. So again, it's very nice for drawing. And I'm just working on, I don't know, making sure I follow the form with the direction lines and things, and the outfit's pretty stupid, but whatever, right? So I do like the hair. I think the hair is pretty nice, and maybe there's some issues with the mouth. I'm still having to work on that. But back to the tool. I think something that's really important when looking for any kind of program is not so much what the program does, but what do you do. So for me, I do pencil sketches a lot, and I have and pen sketches and drawings a lot. So it's more important for me to find a tool that does what I like to do. And in this case, Mischief is good because it's nice for drawing, and it's probably going to be my the program I would use for figure drawing, whereas before I was using MyPaint, and MyPaint's brush is not as good in my opinion, although, I mean, the program's free, so that's a big selling point. If you don't have any money to spend, but you want an infinite canvas drawing program, then MyPaint is pretty much all I know is an alternative for Mischief. But anyway, but yeah, so as a drawing program, I like this program. But you can see, as a painting program now, when I'm coloring things in, it's a lot more clumsy. And this is because it doesn't have tools like the lasso tool, like selection tools, which I am used to for my workflow. So again, it's finding out what you do and what program does what you do or want to do. Whereas sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in the gimmicks of things, like, oh, this program is very good at doing, for instance, Sketchbook Pro has a really cool feature with symmetry. So you draw, and then if I draw on the x-axis, it will copy it on the other side. Like, if whatever I draw on the right gets copied on the left. I don't know if that makes any sense. But it's got that, and it's cool. It's like, wow, that is nice, but I never would use that because it doesn't fit in how I draw. So then it's like, okay, is it worth getting Sketchbook Pro for this reason? But I do like Sketchbook Pro for a lot of other reasons, but that's not what I'd use it for. So I think it's really good to play around with things, and with Mischief you get a free trial anyway, so it's like, I think most of these programs you get a free trial, and like, try it, but use it how you want to use it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, try another program, because that's what should be the deciding factor. It shouldn't be all the gimmicks, all the extra bells and whistles that are available to you. So when I'm reviewing this program, I'm reviewing it only from my experience of things. So I draw like this. Maybe it's very good for someone else doing, I don't know, brainstorming, just having that infinite canvas. Maybe that's really good. But for me, the zoom thing, it's cool because I can zoom in and get like clean lines. That was really neat to find out. So I'm a big fan of that. But for painting, I think I would go straight into Photoshop, because you'll see I have to manually pick everything, and that's okay. But let's say I had a layer mode set to multiply. Well, I could just paint all the shadows and not have to keep adjusting things, and it would just save a lot of time. So yeah, I think definitely there's better painting tools than this. Something else that bothered me is just the selection tools, the lack of a lasso tool, because I wanted a lasso tool, and that's how I block in colors, is with a lasso tool. So that was there. And then another thing is some of the shortcuts. First of all, they aren't customizable, which if you're someone who paints a lot, you tend to have preferred shortcuts. And like in other programs, what you can do is, let's say you're used to the shortcuts in Photoshop. Well, you can set the other program's shortcuts to be the same as the ones in Photoshop. So that's very useful. And for most cases, this does have some shortcuts that, like the Alt key. When you press the Alt key, it gets the eyedropper, which is good. I use that. But there are other things that aren't there. Like there's not a one-button clear canvas. And maybe this was designed for more of the mobile tablet generation, where you wouldn't have access to a keyboard, because there's a lot of things you can do just by pressing on icons. But I don't know, maybe because I'm older, I grew up doing everything on the keyboard, and so something I would have liked is to have the ability to do that. And same with this, like you can see how I'm having to paint in white manually. That was frustrating. But if you look at this result and you think it's pretty good, well, that's what you can do with Mischief. So it's not like you can do nothing with it. Like, oh, you can't paint at all. No, you can paint with it. It's just, I think it's a bit more difficult than Photoshop, but I do. As I said, I really like it as a drawing program, and it's what I'll use for figure drawing. Sorry. So yeah, just adding the finishing touches now. And I think I added some reflected light, and that's about it. So I hope this helped, and thanks for watching.